Hi, I'm Sandra Adams, and I'm a lung doctor, which is also called a pulmonologist. We're going to talk about breathing easy with asthma. What is AIR, anti inflammatory reliever? And what is MART, maintenance and reliever therapy? We're going to learn how to stay in control of your asthma, how to breathe better, have fewer sick days away from work or school, and have fewer lung attacks or asthma flares, which are all sometimes called asthma exacerbations. Now, I don't have to tell you what asthma is because you've been living with this condition, but I do want to point out a few things. Asthma makes the air tubes in your lungs tight, making it hard to breathe, but also swollen. Let's look at what that means. When we look at someone with normal lungs, air comes into the lungs through the windpipe, which is also called the trachea, and that divides and branches into air tubes. A normal air tube is wide open and allows air to move in and out very easily. And look at the wall around that tube. It's actually thin. So open and thin-walled air tubes equals easy to breathe. In contrast, someone with asthma often has tight and swollen air tubes. Now, what that means is that the opening to breathe through is really, really small, like seen in this picture. And look at the wall. It not only is really thick and swollen, but also has all that inflammation throughout the wall of the air tube. We need to try to calm that inflammation because tight and swollen air tubes make it hard to breathe over time. That inflammation may cause serious damage to the lungs. Look at the difference between these two. Wide open and easy to breathe with open and thin-walled air tubes in the normal lung, and in someone with asthma, tight and swollen air tubes, making it really hard to breathe. I'm sure you know the common symptoms of asthma. You may have a cough, wheezing, trouble breathing, chest tightness, or any combination of these symptoms. But these symptoms are just a small portion of the story, just the tip of the iceberg. So symptoms are like the part of the iceberg you can see, but the inflammation in the lungs is like the huge part of the iceberg that's under the water. You might want to know what you can do to help control your asthma. You can help by taking your maintenance or controller inhaler every single day, even when you're not having any trouble with your asthma. I'd like you to try to find your controller inhaler from this picture, which includes the medicines approved in the United States to use every day, once or twice a day, as a controller inhaler for asthma. You might be wondering, why would I take my controller inhaler when my asthma is fine? To explain this, let's look again at this iceberg. The part you can see above the water is like asthma symptoms. They are easy to notice. But under the water is a much bigger part that you can't see, which is like the hidden inflammation in asthma. The picture on the right shows what happens when someone takes their controller medicine regularly. Their symptoms are better, and the hidden lung inflammation is also reduced. The goal in asthma is to not even need a reliever inhaler because your asthma is so well controlled. That's why it's so important to take the controller inhaler every single day. Some people may want to know how a controller inhaler can help the lungs. Well, the controller inhalers we've been talking about contain a medicine in it, which is an inhaled corticosteroid, or ICS for short. When taken regularly, this medicine of ICS calms the inflammation in the air tubes of the lungs. Now, obviously, we don't have real fire inside our lungs, but sometimes it can feel like that. And other times, inflammation can spread throughout the lungs and we don't even know it. Now, what about the reliever inhaler? You're likely very familiar with this one because you know your reliever inhaler works fast. It opens up your air tubes when you're having trouble breathing, and it's for sudden symptoms. The old reliever inhalers, and you might be able to find yours in this picture, open up the air tubes, which is great. Open air tubes makes breathing easier. But the problem is the old reliever inhalers are not enough. They do not help calm the inflammation in the lungs. There's a new strategy for using your reliever inhaler, which is called anti-inflammatory reliever or air therapy. AIR is where your albuterol reliever inhaler is used with an inhaled corticosteroid or ICS. So you're still getting your albuterol, but now you're getting a second medicine as well. AIR strategy can be achieved by using one inhaler that has an ICS and albuterol, or by using your albuterol inhaler with an ICS inhaler, so 2 inhalers every time you have asthma symptoms. The combination of albuterol and the ICS helps both open up the air tubes and calm the inflammation in the lungs. So, using air strategy, you take your reliever inhaler with 2 medicines when you have asthma symptoms. To review, with air strategy, you use your controller inhaler every single day, once or twice a day, whether you're having a good day or a bad day related to your asthma. And use your reliever inhaler or inhalers as needed for asthma symptoms. 2 medicines, albuterol, which opens up the air tube, and an ICS, which calms the inflammation or swelling inside the lungs. Instead of air strategy, you might be prescribed one of these medicines you see in this picture. They may ask you to take one of the medicines pictured here as your controller inhaler twice a day, every day. And they may ask you to take exactly the same inhaler, the same medicine in the inhaler to use as your reliever when you're having asthma symptoms. This is called MART strategy, maintenance and reliever therapy, where one inhaler has 2 medicines in it and you take it regularly as your controller and the same inhaler as needed as your reliever. So the one medicine in MART strategy opens up the air tubes, which is kind of like what albuterol does, but it's a different medicine called formoterol. The reason it's important when using MART strategy to have an inhaler with formoterol in it is because formoterol and albuterol are the only 2 asthma medicines that act very quickly to open up the air tubes within 3 to 5 minutes of spraying them into your lungs. In addition to the formoterol medicine, inside this one inhaler is another medicine, the ICS, or inhaled corticosteroid, which calms the inflammation in the air tubes. So, MART is maintenance and reliever therapy. Use the controller inhaler every day, twice a day, scheduled. And when you feel asthma symptoms, you use the same medicine as your reliever as needed. And the reliever, as well as the controller medicines, help open up the air tubes and calm down the inflammation and swelling in the lungs. And you probably need to ask your clinician how many total puffs in a day you can take. Usually it's somewhere between 8 and 12 total, including the 2 puffs twice a day for your controller scheduled, and then the as needed puffs as well. Whether your prescribed air or MART strategy may be based on your insurance coverage, your copay, preference of your clinician or you, or other clinical reasons. But whichever one you're prescribed, air or MART, the important point is that your reliever has 2 medicines in it, one to open up the air tubes and one, the ICS, inhaled corticosteroid, to calm the inflammation. So why is air or MART helpful? Well, you have fewer asthma symptoms, keeps the lungs healthier, fewer missed days of work or school, and fewer asthma flares or exacerbations. And when do you use your inhalers? Well, use your controller inhaler whether you're feeling great or having some trouble with your asthma. Use it every single day to keep your asthma away. And use your reliever inhaler to stop asthma symptoms fast. So to review, air equals anti-inflammatory reliever, and MART equals maintenance and reliever therapy. 2 medicines in one inhaler to open up the air tubes, and the other medicine, the ICS, to help calm the inflammation. Taking your inhalers correctly is really important because the medicine needs to reach deep into your lungs to open up the air tubes and calm the inflammation. Try to find your inhaler on this picture and scan the QR code next to it to see a short video of how to properly use your inhaler. Final thoughts. Use your controller inhaler every single day, whether you feel great or you're having some trouble with your asthma. And use your reliever inhaler with 2 medicines in it when you have sudden symptoms of asthma. Why? Well, because you can do more, feel better, have fewer missed days of school or work, and fewer asthma flares. It's a win-win for all. I'd love to read your thoughts and questions in the comments. I'm Sandra Adams. Thank you for your attention.